Now, into the ticket office of Disneyland.
Oh boy, let's do this.
Don't think the CIA is going to be trying to hack your second-gen iPod.
I didn't think so. There might have been a lot of illegal music on there. I wouldn't doubt it. But, I mean...
You were supposed to bring death to the flagships, not join them.
Google has found a new way to piss me off.
iTunes is a constant source of embarrassment.
Behind-the-scenes camera crap.
May I present to you the cat?
I am the dog. Well, I can't do it anymore without laughing. I was going to do the whole thing. Welcome, everyone, to the Calling All Platforms podcast. I am your host, Wes, and I'm here with Landon.
Hello.
And Caleb. Woo! And we are here to talk all things tech this week and probably last week, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't too much news last week. We apologize.
A little bit from last week, but not much.
We apologize, but I kind of was the one that probably made us not record just because. So, listener, I think I need to let you know something.
Uh-oh.
That if you have some lunch meat, you need to, and it's open in your fridge, you need to check the dates, I'm just saying, on your lunch meat. Okay? Because guess what? You know, I got home, I work graveyard, I got home, I usually have like 3 eggs and something, you know, just to kind of cook some eggs, eat something when I get home. I was like, you know what, I'm going to help myself to some turkey, some sliced turkey. I'm going to throw that on my eggs. It'll be great. Eat it. Let's see, within an hour to 2 hours, I was not feeling great. So please check your expiration dates. Apparently, mine was about a month out. So
Oh, well, that's pretty bad. I was going to say, like, yeah, check your expiration dates. But remember, you can usually fudge those about a week or so.
Yeah.
But a month, no, that's great.
Yeah. So that was not fun. So I had food poisoning. So I probably tipped these guys over to be like, you know what, we don't need to record.
I mean, yeah, I didn't have much. Actually, great tangent. No, this is a great tangent. I actually had this pointed out to me by a microbiologist a couple of weeks, about a month and a half ago, I suppose it was, that the bacteria that make food look and smell and taste spoiled are completely different than the bacteria that actually make you sick. Like mold and stuff growing on your food, you eat that, it's going to taste disgusting, it's going to look bad, it's going to smell bad, it's going to be slimy, it's whatever. Like spoiled lunch meat, when it's obviously spoiled, might still be totally fine to eat. Because the like salmonella or whatever that actually makes you sick, it doesn't make the stuff look spoiled.
Yeah, it didn't look like it.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh,
like,
lunch meat, let's
isn't
throw that on there.
Fun? It's like
it's
can't actually tell if something is going to give you food poisoning by the way it looks or smells or anything. People are all like, hey, smell that milk. Does it smell spoiled? It's all like, oh yeah, that smells spoiled, but it's probably not. I mean, the only reason you don't eat it at that point is because it tastes bad. But you know what you can do with that? Turn it into buttermilk or sour cream or something like that. Right. And that's literally what all that stuff is spoiled milk. It's good times.
Yeah. I don't know why we were on the tangent. I just wanted to apologize why we didn't record. But hey, check your expiration dates. And
now you done learned you a little something about biology, I guess.
Science. It's
great. Yeah. Well, let's get into it, shall we? Looks like we got some Apple news here. We're going to start off with that. We got the M4 release lineup here.
Yeah, so Apple kind of inadvertently, accidentally, sort of accidentally, maybe slightly on purposely, released their lineup, well, the schedule of releases for the M4 series of processors. And Mark Gurman got this via somebody leaking him an internal memo or slide presentation or something. I didn't honestly pay that much attention to his newsletter, let's be honest. But there's a list of things that are going to be coming out between the end of 2024 and the second half of 2025, and that's what all the M4 processors are going to be released. I don't think this is a surprise to anybody who was expecting Apple to continue the yearly update cadence for their processors, because they haven't finished updating their entire line to the M3 family. So presumably that's going to happen between now and the second half of 2024. So then the end of 2024 being when we first see the M4 makes perfect sense. That would be very in keeping with the schedule that they've been going. But there is one thing with this list. It's Mark Gurman's list of 7 scheduled events that are going to mark the life of the M4 processor family. There is no mention of a non-Pro or Air MacBook anywhere in here. But there is a telling piece of information that gives me hope that Apple are going to stop being idiots and give us just a normal MacBook at some point. Like, it's been a long time since we've had one of those. Wouldn't it be nice? So he talks about how there's going to be a low-end 14-inch MacBook Pro with the M4 coming at the end of this year, and that new 14-inch and 16-inch high-end MacBook Pros with M4 Pro and Max chips are due sometime between the end of 2024 and early 2025, which is just a really dumb way of saying first quarter 2025. I don't really know why he just doesn't want anybody to hold him to actual dates, I think is what's going on here.
I can see that.
But he separates...
I think big companies are doing that, actually. They just don't want to be held to a date.
Yeah.
So.
Nobody wants to be held accountable for anything anymore. Boomers. Anyways. But he separates those two things from each other by the 24-inch iMac coming out at the end of 2024, right? So he's saying that's the same time period as this low-end quote-unquote MacBook Pro, and that the actual MacBook Pros are coming after that, presumably. And I just have the tiniest bit of hope that what he is reading on this memo as a low-end, air quotes, 14-inch MacBook Pro is in fact just a MacBook. Just take the 14-inch MacBook Pro, make the chassis out of plastic, make it in a bunch of fun colors, charge less than $1,000 for it, and it's a MacBook. Apple, this product literally designs itself. I don't know why this is so hard. Anyways, that's my rant. I had a soapbox. I got on. I'm getting off. It also does suggest, this release, that we're going to be seeing the Mac Mini continue in the form that we've gotten it past year, where we will be getting a kind of a base model Mac Mini that's got the M4 processor in it, but also a prosumer Mac Mini that'll have the M4 Pro chip in it, which is nice. You can also expect updates to the 13 and 15-inch MacBook Airs sometime in the spring of next year, which tracks. And then Mac Studio and Mac Pro with the very high-end chips will be coming in the middle to the end of 2025. Probably more like the middle of 2025, since I would expect the end of 2025 to be when we see the M5 launch. So there you go. Just kind of a glimpse into what Apple is planning on doing with their next generation of processors. Seems to suggest that they're just going to keep doing basically what they've been doing, which, I don't know, makes it kind of boring to be an Apple customer. It's very predictable, but also it's nice to have very boring and predictable regular upgrade cadence for the Macintosh computers, given how things were about circa like 2018, 2019.
And
You know,
for
like,
a while, it was like,
whoo,
wait, are we
yeah.
getting? Are you gonna keep making Macs, Apple? I mean,
oh yeah, no, like 2013. From like 2013 on, it seemed like the Mac desktop was gonna die, and it was just gonna be laptops. And then 2016 happened, and we all were sure that the laptops were gonna die too. And 2017, 2018 were kind of dark years, and then 2019 looked like, okay, wait, maybe they are going to update their Macs. And then Apple Silicon happened, and it was like, oh, this is different now. And sure enough, it is different. We get regular updates to all of their Macs now, and that's just sweet.
mm-hmm.
So, cool.
I'm just really hoping that this is the year that I do finally upgrade my computer and get an M4 Pro Mac Mini.
Yeah.
I
like,
really
I
want
was,
the M3 Pro, but I'm like, oh, if there's an M4 Pro coming sometime this year, maybe I'll wait.
may as well wait.
Because like
Yeah,
every time I think about it, I realize just how old my computer actually is. It's a
exactly.
fall of 2018 is when I bought my. It's almost 6 years old. It's still running great by any means,
Wow.
but
Oh, yeah.
it's still the Intel Mac Mini, and I could definitely benefit from an M4 or an M series in general, let alone an M4. But
I mean, yeah, generally, just getting off of Intel at this point is kind of what matters. Like, I would benefit by upgrading to an M1.
yeah,
The bar is not
Seriously.
high. But no, I was actually thinking about that the other day because, yeah, I bought my Mac Mini the very beginning of 2019. So technically, yeah, it's a fall of 2018 model. And I'm thinking back on that. I'm like, oh, dang, this thing is freaking like 5 years old. And I remember when my MacBook Pro that I got in 2011 was 5 years old. It felt like a dog to use. I was like, oh, dang, this thing is a piece of crap. By that point in time, I had already upgraded the RAM. And when it hit about 5 years, I upgraded from a hard drive to an SSD. That made a world of difference. Like, obviously, it's a significantly better computer to use after that. And it's honestly, I still have it. I still occasionally pull it out to like retrieve old files off of it that I'd forgotten about and that kind of thing. And it still works. It's still fine. It's slow. It's, doesn't feel modern, but it works and it's okay. But no, my 5-year-old Mac Mini feels absolutely fine. Like, barely even noticeable changes in performance, which I think speaks to a couple of things. Progress on the software front has slowed down quite a bit. Like, the operating system is no longer like, we're like increasing all of this stuff and making all of this progress in the features that are happening, the features that you're getting. And that, we're not seeing as much movement on that front as we used to. And then between, this, 2011 when I bought my MacBook Pro and 2019 when I finally retired it, a little something called Ryzen happened. AMD suddenly was like, hey, guess what? 4 cores are for chumps. Like, quad-core processors suck. You shouldn't use them. And, like, I remember when I got this 2011 MacBook Pro, I was all like, ooh, yeah, I better make sure I spring for the hyper-threaded i7 instead of, like, the non-hyper-threaded i5 processor option. Like, I got the upgraded processor because I wanted to future-proof it to a certain extent. And it's a good thing I did that. It would not have lasted as long as it did without that. But, like, the fact that Ryzen happened and suddenly all of the computers needed more cores and stuff, yeah, that really killed my sad little dual-core 4-thread i7 processor here. Because, 2011, you could get a dual-core i7, guys. That was a thing that Intel sold. But then, by the time 2019 rolls around, 6 cores, 12 threads. That's what my Mac Mini has. And that was what was needed to compete. But since then, that hasn't continued. It's not like everybody is running 43 core processors nowadays. Like, we had a sudden spike in the number of cores available for, tasks on your computer, but that's kind of slowed down a little bit over the past few years. So, yeah, like, it's this Mac Mini has been aging quite well. Like, fine wine. No complaints. I'm still running it on 8 gigs of RAM, for crying out loud.
See, and that's the thing, like,
nice.
for me, that's the one thing I did upgrade on mine was the RAM. Did I get 32 or 60? I think I got 32 gigs of RAM.
Yeah.
Because
totally understand.
For how I use it, I needed the extra RAM. And so that's where I spent my upgrade money on. And I did not buy Apple's RAM because I bought third-party RAM.
These things have user upgradable RAM. It's cool.
Yes, it was a great feature.
It was less cool when the logic board failed on my computer and I had to send it back to Apple and they sent it back with a replaced logic board, but one of the sticks of RAM wasn't fully seated. And I booted it up. It's all like, hey, you've got 4 gigs of RAM. And I'm like, that's not right.
No.
And I had to disassemble the entire thing. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's just not in the slot at all. But yeah, it's it's been a really weird kind of process to watch that, but the Mac continues to actually incrementally improve year over year, and makes kind of any time a good time to upgrade your Mac, which is so unusual. Like, it used to be that you really had to like hawkishly pay attention to what Apple was doing and what their future plans were so that you could plan your upgrades. Nowadays, it's like the past few years, just buy whatever you need whenever you need it. It's not like it's going to be bad, and you're not going to get, oh, sure, 3 months down the road, they may release a version with a new processor, but it's only going to be like 15 to 20% uplift. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's that. I have one other piece of Apple news. And this is just I don't know. This is very small, but I'm going to mention it. Apple is rumored that their first AI features on iOS, coming in iOS 18, are going to run entirely on device. So they will be running their large language model, whatever it happens to be, on device. Now, it's possible that they're going to have their own from the ground up LLM that they're going to be running, I don't know, Siri 2.0 or whatever. It's also possible that we're going to be seeing Bard stuff, or wait, not Bard,
no, Gemini.
Gemini. Gosh dang it, Google.
Yeah.
We're going to be seeing Gemini stuff, or we might be seeing ChatGPT stuff, or we might even be seeing one of the LLMs that's been developed in China. Apple's been in talks with I can't remember which Chinese technology firm they were talking with, but they've been in talks with all of them about this stuff, Microsoft, with Google, and nobody is sure exactly which version is going to show up on iOS, but they're confident that something will, which to me says it, like, just screams that Apple is panicking about getting something, like something has to be on there. They've been given a directive from the top down that yes, we have to have AI in iOS 18, and nobody has any idea how it's going to actually interact with the users or to improve their lives in a measurable way or help do or accomplish anything. And so since they have no idea what they actually want it to do, they have no idea which version they're going to use or whether they're going to design their own from scratch, or like, this iOS 18 is going to be a crap show.
It's going to be interesting.
Calling it right now.
I think so. I have two thoughts on the matter. I think that if they use something other than Gemini, they're going to pay enough money to let whoever made it, if they didn't make it themselves, brand it something that is Apple. So nobody will, we'll find out because that's just what happens, but they will not market it as anything besides their own. Now, if they do use Gemini, which I actually am leaning more towards, mostly because at the moment, I think it's probably the best on-device large language model that you can get at the moment.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, ChatGPT probably works well on device, but just because Google's been doing this forever,
and I think Google has targeted on device more specifically, right, whereas OpenAI has been working with servers pretty much exclusively.
Yeah. So that's why I think if Apple, I lean towards them using Gemini mostly because of that, and because Apple is all about doing everything on device because it's more private, more user-friendly, which I appreciate and am fine with. So if they do use Gemini, though, I don't see Google letting Apple not tell people that it's Gemini.
No,
but
not.
So we'll obviously learn about this at WWDC, and depending on what they call it, we'll know most likely what it is.
Yeah,
it's definitely going to be interesting to see
obvious.
What it is.
It'll probably be pretty obvious fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that I'm just really interested to see. So here's what I'm predicting. There's going to be AI image editing functionality built into the camera and Photos app. They're going to stress that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And talk about how amazing it is and how groundbreaking and reality shaking and whatever it is. And it's just going to be the stuff that Google has already put into their camera app, that Samsung has already implemented. And there's going to be some image generation stuff that's very similar to DALL-E 2 and the other stuff that OpenAI has been doing. You know, that's they'll spend a lot of time harping on that. And then they're going to introduce a number of AI enhanced features that nobody is going to be able to point to and say, this is where the AI is. I heard somebody say at work, one of the software developers this past 2 weeks ago, I guess it was, that one man's software is another man's AI. That there is no actual definition for what AI is. And that, like, you know, you go back into the 80s, video games had AI. Sure, they did. And that's, you know, so you can kind of call anything you want. And then shortly after I heard that, I saw, gosh, it was, I think it was Dank Pods. Yes, it was Dank Pods on YouTube. Did a video about a rice cooker that was AI enabled, which is stupid because cooking rice without AI is really easy. Rice cookers are pretty dang bulletproof, and like it's hard to screw it up, honestly. And he took the thing apart and was all like, nah, there's no there's no microcontroller in here. There's no processor of any kind. This is a basic electrical circuit that uses magnetism to cook the rice exactly the same way as every other rice cooker does it. And yeah, you can slap AI on anything. Nobody's saying no. So I cannot wait for a whole bunch of nebulously applied AI enhanced features to come out in iOS 18 that, if there is in fact any like self-learning algorithms involved or large language model applications involved, they're probably all going to kind of suck. That's my prediction. And then you'll have some neat image editing stuff that, if you are subscribed to Google One and you have the Google Photos app installed on your iPhone, you will already have access to.
Yep.
So there you go. That's iOS 18 in a nutshell.
Oh, jeez.
We're still over a month out from WWDC.
Yeah. You know what I'm really excited for is getting Google I/O, and then a month later getting it again, but Apple's flavor.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of been the case anyways for the past few years. They just copy each other, whether it's Apple copying Google or Google copying Apple. But this year, I think, is going to be the most like mirror to mirror identical keynotes that we've ever seen. It's going to be amazing.
Wow.
And Apple is going to spin it as they invented everything. Google's going to, I don't know what Google's going to Google. Who knows what they're going to do? But it's just going to be, I can't wait.
Google's going to let Gemini write the script for the whole thing.
Probably.
Yeah.
There's going to be a little small print at the end, like, you know how Apple had their shot on iPhone thing at the end of their thing. This is going to be like constructed by Gemini. It's like, oh, that makes the whole thing make sense.
So during I/O, just watch everybody's hands, because like AI really sucks with like fingers. Just watch their hands. See if you can spot the AI generated frames.
Well, the one benefit Google does have in that regard is they have started doing their keynotes live again for the most part.
Oh, that's true.
So
that's true.
They can't fully say that the video, maybe like the videos, the B-roll and all that stuff was maybe produced by Gemini.
The product announcements and stuff like that. But they don't have to have people in those.
That's true. They don't. Yeah.
There you go. Sneaky Google. I see you. Hey, though, if that's what we're doing, Apple, freaking let the AI redesign the settings app. Honestly, it can't possibly be worse.
All right. We'll go ahead and we'll move on. We're going to move on from Apple and get into some Google news here. First thing we got on here is Google's Find My Network is now launched.
Yeah, and listener, you might be like, wait, didn't they already have something like this? Well, technically, yes, they had something like this. It wasn't great, but now they've basically, I mean, Google and Apple have actually worked together, which I know hell's frozen over again because that does happen every once in a while.
It does. Somebody just has to give somebody else a large enough sum of money and they get along just fine.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. That's how it's worked forever. But so like what they did is once Apple came out with the AirTags, basically, is when this partnership kind of started. Because, well, at least talks of the partnership started because a lot of people were like, oh, I want an AirTag, but I have an Android phone. How can I make this work? Well, you couldn't really. But now you can. So Google's Find My Network is basically Apple's Find My Network, but now using Google devices. Like it works the same way that Apple's does, but with Pixel phones and coming to other Android phones in the future. Like, it's basically identical, really. If you know anything about Apple's Find My Device network, that's what Google implemented into Android. And I'm actually very pleased with that because Apple's is great. And so the ability to have that same thing work on Android is also great. And because they work together, AirTags, you can buy an AirTag and use a Pixel device and be fine. The main reason they did this is so people, like the issue was people were being more or less stalked by people that had AirTags. They would put an AirTag on someone's device, and if you didn't have an iPhone, you wouldn't be alerted that someone had put an AirTag on you. Now you will be. If it's not part of your network, then it will tell you, hey, you have an AirTag nearby that is not yours, and it's been following you for a while. So that is a benefit.
Yep.
One thing that Google did add to this that I don't think, I'm not entirely sure if this is a thing on Apple's, but Google made it so you can find a Pixel phone whether it is turned on or off. And I do like that. Now, I think they're using any sort of reserve power on a battery to power the Bluetooth chip inside the phone, so it can still connect to the Find My Network that way. But it's not something that's going to be like an indefinite type thing. So if you turned a phone off a year and a half ago, it may not still work. But it'll at least work for a few hours. Like if you lose your phone, or if somebody takes it and turns it off, that isn't going to deter you from being able to find it via the Find My Network, at least for a while.
More importantly, it's not going to prevent you from marking it as lost.
Exactly.
Like, that's the key thing, is being able to, like, at least, so this is a feature on Apple phones, I think starting with the 14. So I think it's the 14 and 15. This is a thing. It might have been the 13. I can't remember. But yeah, it basically is, once the battery has died, or if the phone is shut off, it continues to be visible on the Find My Network via the NFC tag for as long as possible, basically. And from the way Apple has described it, it sounds like they'll just run the battery dry, which is really bad for battery health. But, that this is the expectation, is that you've lost your $1,000 phone and they want you to be able to find it, which is actually kind of nice. But yeah, like, and if you mark it as lost during that time, then it will get that transmission. And then if somebody later on powers it up and tries to, turn it on, it'll obviously go into lost mode, whatever, and you can then erase the thing if you want. Or what happens more often, I guess, is that they try to, they'll power it up, verify the functionality of all the hardware, and then they'll dismantle it and sell the parts. But because it was in lost mode, if any of those parts get paired to a different iPhone, then they get flagged as like, this part was stolen. And I'm not sure what happens from that point. But like, Apple's been really trying really hard to like make it extremely unattractive to steal iPhones. And generally speaking, it's worked pretty well.
Yeah.
It's not much you can do with a stolen iPhone.
Yeah. So I really am glad that this is now available. And like I said, it is going to come to other Android devices. Right now it's just a Pixel exclusive thing, but that's not Google's thing. That's just other manufacturers have to implement this into their devices. And really all it takes right now is a software update, basically. So it's going to be really beneficial for everybody, iPhone users, Apple or Android users. It's just going to be much better in general. So I'm happy for it. It's a good thing that Google has done, which in the time of like right now with Google just getting rid of everything, it's nice to have some good news once in a while.
Yep.
Oh, and also speaking of other good news, I got an email. I'm just gonna. I got an email as a Google One subscriber. I got some features that, unless I'm on a Pixel phone, I didn't get before. So inside of Google Photos, if you're a Google One subscriber, no matter what phone you used, you could have the Magic Eraser tool, which was awfully nice. But
yes,
they've said that there are some, as they said, key changes coming to your Google One plan. Basically, they're just expanding a lot of these popular features. So, like right now, Magic Eraser is pretty much the only feature that I get, but they said they're adding Portrait Lite available to all Google Photo users. So this doesn't even require a Google One subscription. Magic Eraser and Portrait Lite are coming to anybody that uses Google Photos, whether this is Android or iOS. So that's nice. On May 15th is when this will start happening. Also, Dark Web Report will also be made available to all Google accounts in the coming months. So if you have any of your information that is found on the dark web, Google can alert you to that, and you can make any password changes or anything like that that you might need to in order to help alleviate getting any information from you stolen along those lines. So that is something that was a Google One thing only, but that is coming to all users. So that is really nice. They also mentioned that they are bringing the Magic Editor to more users. Now, this was the thing that was using their generative AI type stuff to basically tweak, for lack of a better term, Photoshop your photos inside of Google Photos. So, like, the examples that they gave were if you wanted to expand a bench in a picture, you could do that. Or if you were, one of my favorite ones is people trying to, like, quote unquote, dunk a basketball into a hoop. If they were never close to it, they could take their image and move it closer to the top of the hoop to make it look like they were actually doing it. And it would fill in the background and things.
That's what we need right there.
Yeah, that is coming. But there is a caveat to that. You only get up to 10 monthly saves inside of Magic Editor. So that is still, unless you have a Pixel device, you only get 10 of those. So, I mean, honestly, for most people, are you ever going to hit that 10? Because it's one of those, maybe the first month you will, because the first time you use it, you're like, ooh, look what I can do. And then after that, you may never use it again, because how often do you really need to do something like that? Like I said, I have had Magic Eraser for a while. I've used it a few times, and there's been times where it's like, I'm not just showing it off to people. I'm like, okay, I actually do want to take this part of the picture out. But most of the time I don't use it. So again, I think 10 monthly saves in that feature is perfectly fine, because again, how often are you really going to use that? I don't know. But that's some of the stuff coming to any Google Photos users. Some of these Pixel exclusive features are no longer that. And even this works on iPhone. And they did say that with the iOS stuff, or like some of the requirements, I guess. So if you're using this stuff on a Chromebook, you have to have Chrome OS version 118 or higher, which, man, that's a lot of versions of Chrome. and at least 3 gigs of RAM. If you're on Android, you have to be Android 8.0 or higher, which please be much higher than Android 8.0.
Please.
And if you're on iOS, you have to have iOS 15 or higher. So that's some of the requirements for this stuff, but that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
So I'm happy about that. Now, there is one feature that they are taking away. Now, this just only applies to Google One subscribers, or I think if you have Google Fi, you also got this, but I don't know how many of you might be using Google Fi.
I think if you have Google Fi, you still get this.
Interesting.
I think they're only taking it away from the Google One subscribers.
Yeah, and if you do have, I believe, also Pixel 7 or newer Pixel, you'll still get it.
Huh. Well, the Google VPN that you would get with Google One is going to be going away later this year. Now, again, as somebody with Google One, this VPN, to me, was completely useless. Completely useless, because I can use this on my iPhone. Like, I can set up a VPN option inside of iOS, and I can set it up for Google, and I can turn it on. Once I turn it on, I could do nothing on the internet. It's not like it was just protecting my IP address or anything. No. I literally couldn't do anything. It wouldn't load websites. It wouldn't load apps. It would just, sorry, you're not connected to the internet. It wouldn't say that. It would still think it was connected to the internet. It just wouldn't load anything. So I'd always have to just turn it off, and it was just completely useless. So if you are a Google One subscriber and you use that VPN and it actually worked for you, I'm sorry, but this is going away. It's just one of those things that Google even said, nobody's using this. So at least not enough people to justify keeping it around, which that's fine, because, I mean, they get rid of things that people do actually use, like I'm not even going to go through that list again because it's just too long.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a long list. I remember using it. It was okay. I mean, it would remind me constantly to turn it back on. But there were some times, like, I would have it on, but I do remember there was one time I had it on and I did my Microsoft Awards. I tried to do my Microsoft Awards, and it actually put me VPN to a location that Microsoft wasn't available. And it actually, I did something to my account where Microsoft said I couldn't do no rewards for the day because I was violating their terms of service. So I was like, huh. All right, well, I don't want to.
Never mind.
If I'm, yeah, fair enough. I remember that. I was like, because I was asking questions, and they're like, "Oh, you violated this because you were in a place that you're not supposed to have rewards or something." Like, I can't remember. It was something like that, and I was like, "Oh." So when I had the VPN on, that's where it was. Okay,
that's
nice.
Weird.
So, yeah,
that's funny.
But it did say. I'll just add to that at the end. I looked up an article here from Thurrott. It said, while the Google VPN will soon be depreciated, Google will continue to offer a free VPN to owners of a Pixel 7 or newer models. The built-in VPN that comes with Google Fi subscription is also here to stay. So, yeah, to verify both those points.
That is so interesting. So the people paying for it don't get it. Weird.
Yeah. I think they must be using a different service.
They must be, because like I said, it didn't work for me.
It maybe. So
maybe they're also like, wait, you're on an iPhone? Pfft, yeah, nope, you don't get this.
We don't really like you.
But it's funny.
Yeah.
Like, they know I've been a Google user for years, and I've been a Nexus and Pixel user for a long time. I even got an email last week saying, hey, you're a Google One user. Why don't you come back to Pixel? Here's a $250 discount on a phone. I'm like, no.
No.
Sorry.
I was wanting that VPN. No.
Nah. I mean, the only time I really cared about using the VPN is if I was connected to like a store Wi-Fi that, if my my cell service wasn't working quite as great in the store, I'd want to connect to their Wi-Fi so I could use it. And that's the only time I really cared to use a VPN, because I mean, don't listener, if you don't already know this, don't trust free Wi-Fi at certain places because it's
pretty
just,
much anywhere.
Yeah.
Man, like free Wi-Fi is it's bad.
Yeah,
it's bad.
especially if you're at like an airport, definitely don't trust that free Wi-Fi.
Oh gosh, no. Yeah, that's bad.
Don't do that.
That's
so
bad.
That was the only places that I really cared to use the VPN, and like I said, it just didn't work. So I'm fine with this not being a thing because I didn't use it and it didn't work. So whatever. Goodbye, Google One VPN.
Well, those of you that lost the privilege of this VPN, boy, do we have a deal for you. Coming up on our next item, DuckDuckGo launches a Privacy Pro subscription that not only bundles a VPN, but also personal information removal and identity theft protection services for only $10 a month.
Yep.
Man, wouldn't that be awesome if we were sponsored right there? And
it'd be great.
Perfect.
No,
right there.
Honestly, I would be totally down with being sponsored by DuckDuckGo. I like those guys.
That'd be great.
Their products don't work as well as anybody else's, but also they don't know who I am, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And that's probably why they haven't offered me a subscription for being such a loyal user, or offered me a chance to be a sponsor. Because, they don't know that I use their stuff. They don't know anything. Anyways, DuckDuckGo, they're launching a subscription service called Privacy Pro. And like the headline says, it's a VPN, it's personal information removal and identity theft recovery services, which I thought was kind of interesting. Not necessarily going to protect you from having your identity stolen, because that's very difficult to do. Instead, if you do have your identity stolen, hopefully they can help you lock out the people who stole it.
Yeah, usually if you want that identity theft protection, it costs more than $10 a month.
Yeah. And also, man, you remember back in the day that like the very first, back when identity theft was like a huge buzzword and everything. And I can't remember the name of this company that launched identity theft protection as a service, and the ad for it. Yeah, I think it might have been LifeLock. The ad for it was the CEO putting his social security number on the side of a bus and driving it around and stuff like that. And he's all like, I trust my company's services so much. Here's my social security number. Try and steal my identity. And they did.
Yeah.
Turns out, don't paint a target on yourself. Otherwise, hackers. And I think what ended up happening was it was like white hat hackers managed to take his social security number. They were able to circumvent the protections offered by his company and open up like credit cards or something like that in his name, and then sent all the documentation and the proof to the company and was all like, hey, your services suck and have all of these holes. It took us like 3 weeks. We found all of these. Maybe fix it.
Yeah.
And they stopped running that ad. Anyways.
I bet they did.
This is a little bit different than that, to be clear. So obviously, Privacy Pro VPN. What's a VPN, listener? Virtual private network. Basically what that means is that you have a piece of software on your computer that is going to automatically encrypt all data that, like network data that leaves your computer. And then it will go through an encrypted tunnel to the provider of the VPN. And then they are going to unencrypt that data and send it out onto the World Wide Web as if the data was coming from their data center, their servers somewhere, wherever that may happen to be, right? And that means that your ISP, your internet service provider, and anybody else who happens to be on, hanging out with them, watching your data traffic, they're not going to be able to see what it is you're doing between your computer and that VPN provider. There's different levels of protection in terms of VPN. Like if you're using your Surfsharks or your what's the other one? NordVPN. Like, these popular VPNs, you've probably seen ads about them on or sponsored segments on YouTube videos and whatnot. Basically what those are good for is fooling the services on your computer, your device, or whatever into thinking that you are in a different location. so that you can get access to European Netflix without having to be in Europe or something like that. That's what VPNs are good for most people. Some VPNs also make a big song and dance about how, oh, we don't keep logs of any of your traffic, so then we're not looking at any of your stuff, which means that theoretically there shouldn't really be any way to trace your traffic from their servers back to your machine. And that's mostly fake. Most of the time they do in fact keep logs, and they will in fact give that information to pretty much anybody who comes and asks about it that happens to have like a search warrant or something like that. So, VPNs are not going to protect you if you're doing something illegal. Don't do illegal things. Personal information removal is another service that they're advertising, which is basically, you've probably seen services advertising this as well. I can't remember any of them off the top of my head, but I know I've seen ads. Anyways, it's a service that basically just scans data broker sites for your information and then automatically submits the necessary legal documents and request forms for them to remove that data from their sites. So this is stuff that they will have gotten from your social media platforms, any information that's publicly available about you on the internet. They'll have gathered it all together, and these data brokerage sites will sell it to anybody who happens to want to pay for it. And, if you want to know how terrifying that is, there's a really, really entertaining John Oliver video about it from last week tonight on HBO from a couple of years back, where he bought all of the information about a whole bunch of U.S. senators and then had a series of targeted ads that were specifically targeted at them using information he got from the data brokers, all completely legally, that he then used the ads to gather a bunch more information about what kinds of things they like to click on and view and stuff like that via completely legal and completely normal tracking devices that you can put in ads. And he had a whole bunch of information about these senators and was basically like, hey, maybe put some legislation into place to make it illegal to do this kind of thing, and I won't release all this private information about you to the public. So you can totally still do that legally, so I guess it didn't work. But it's a funny video. You should go watch it. Anywho, that's what DuckDuckGo is offering there. The scope of their identity theft recovery services was very unclear to me. But if you want to use a VPN and you want to have personal information removal as tools that you have, DuckDuckGo has a pretty good corporate reputation regarding your privacy and, being friendly toward their end users. And $10 a month is not a bad price for both of those things combined. Especially when the VPN is supports up to, I think, 5 simultaneous connections across devices. So it's decent. It's worth looking into if you want to kind of enhance your privacy on the internet a little bit, but you don't want to put a whole bunch of time and effort into doing the research onto how to do that yourself, and you would rather just pay a service to do that for you. This is one of the better ones, I would say.
There you go. Awesome. Yeah, any kind of protection you can get, especially for that. Definitely. The next thing we have on General Tech News is Humane AI pin.
All right, listener. Now, if you by chance have not looked at any sort of tech website, YouTube, anything in the past week, then you haven't heard about this AI pen yet. If you have, you've at least seen something about this because it's everywhere. And I went to Google and I just want to read some of the headlines from the reviews of this device. So from The Verge, it says, the post-smartphone future isn't here yet. That's actually fairly nice of them. Wired's review headline is, too clunky, too limited. Let's see, there was an even better one. Oh yeah, here we go. Tech Radar, an undercooked flop that's way ahead of its time. That's a good one. there's just so many. Oh, here's another good one. Gear Patrol, the first major AI consumer hardware launch, is a dumpster fire. That's fun. And then
What was the title of MKBHD's video?
That's what I was just getting to. So some of the YouTube videos, this is Engadget's first one. It says the Humane AI pin solves nothing and makes me feel stupid. But the best one is MKBHD. I feel bad for Humane, but not really. It says the worst product I've ever reviewed for now. And he's reviewed a casket. I mean,
that's true. Yeah.
There was a month where he said he made it a goal of his to not say no to things for 1 month. So he reviewed a lot of really dumb stuff for a month. And this is still, as he says, the worst product I've ever reviewed. Oh, it's amazing. So, listener, again, if you don't happen to know what the Humane AI pin is, oh, you're lucky. It's a little piece of hardware. It's about an inch and a half square that snaps onto you're supposed to wear it on your shirt. It's got a magnet that goes on the inside, and then it snaps onto the back. And the magnet also doubles as a backup battery. So it's got on-device battery. It comes with 2 of these little magnetic pins that go in the back that are also batteries. So you can actually hot swap these batteries out so it doesn't turn off but when you're doing that. That is kind of a nice feature. That is one of the pros to this device. It has a projector built into it, so you can stick your hand in front of your chest and it will project onto your hand some sort of UI that is green. It's like a green color, like an old school computer monitor that was just green because that's the only color they could do. That's what it looks like. And then you kind of do some weird gesture things to, move around the UI if you're doing it visually. And it works-ish. It's not the most intuitive by any means, but it's there. You can also just press on, it's got a touch pad on it, so you can press on it to talk to it and do things like that. It can take pictures, it can take video, not good of pictures or video by any means. And it's supposed to, what they're saying is it's one of those devices that if you want to not be on your phone so much, this is supposed to help you do that. The problem is it's just not good at any of the things you can do, all the same stuff with your phone and faster on your phone. Like, my favorite one was in MKBHD's video. He's standing outside in the parking lot. He's got a Tesla Cybertruck there, and he pushes on the thing and asks it, "What is this?" And it'll scan the area and tell you what's in the area. And he does that, and while it's thinking, like it's taking the picture, scanning the area, it's got to send information up to the cloud and then send it back and then talk to you. In the time it took to do that, he pulled his phone out of his pocket, opened the camera app, used Google Lens, and it pulled up, oh, this is a Cybertruck. And then it finally responded, this is Tesla's Cybertruck. And they gave more information than he was actually. And it's like, I just wanted to know what it was. I don't care all this other it's interesting.
Man, it would have been even better if it had been wrong. That would have been so much better.
Yeah.
It's it not only is it slower, it's all like, oh yeah, this is a truck. Okay,
car.
Cool.
But it's funny because like most of the stuff it does, it has to go to the cloud to do it. So this thing does require a extra data plan from your cell provider. And most of the time, like if you have a watch that connects to your phone but also has a separate data plan, they still use your regular cell phone number as the number for the watch. So if you were to be out on a run, you didn't take your phone, you just have your watch, and you wanted to text someone or call someone, it will still ring to them as your cell phone number. This device has its own number. It doesn't connect to your phone in any way. They've made it that way so you can not use your phone as much, which I understand that to an extent. But like, if you use this to text, like if you would say like, hey, call so-and-so and whatever, it will call them, but they probably won't answer because they don't have this phone number in their contact information for you because it's a separate number. Same with if you text them, it comes up as a separate phone number. And and the other thing is, like, the device itself, $700. $700 for something that doesn't work well.
Wow.
And then you have to pay $24 a month for the cell service and the other data that Humane is, putting onto, I don't know. It's as the review title said, it's a dumpster fire. It's not great. Like, I haven't found a good review for this device yet.
Oh boy.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I get what Humane is going for here, but the way they did it is just not a feasible option at this time right now. Like, if this was maybe 5 to 10 years in the future, maybe. But the fact that this does not connect to your phone in any way makes it so it's so much slower than if you were to just use your phone to do all the same stuff. Now, Marques Brownlee in his video, he did say, if you are the person that just absolutely wants to spend hardly any time, if you want to just get away from your phone altogether, then maybe. He even in that point was like, probably still not. But
I mean, here's the thing. If you really want to get away from your phone, listener, there's some these things that I would recommend. They're kind of old school. They're made out of paper. What's the word? Oh, books. Yeah. Check out some books, maybe. You probably have a library nearby that'll let you take them for free. So you don't even have to pay money, right? You could also like, what those things, they were round and kind of, CDs. Yeah. You go to a thrift store and you get CDs and listen to music that way and stuff like that. Also cassette tapes though. Maybe don't on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then you've still got your streaming stick to watch all your shows on your TV. Just watch stuff on your TV instead of on your phone. And there's also the option of just talking to other people. Maybe go outside, take a walk if the weather's nice. Or heck, go stand out in the rain for 20 minutes. Sometimes that can be nice.
Yeah.
It's just there's a lot of things you can do instead of being on your phone. Like, I empathize with the desire to want to get off your phone, and sometimes it can actually feel kind of difficult to do that. I totally get it. But an AI pin is not, it's not the way.
Yeah. And even as just the hardware, it's not the lightest piece of hardware. It's something that you're wearing on your shirt. It's supposed to go in the place of where a pocket would be on your shirt, or your lapel or something like that, But if you're wearing something that is relatively lightweight, like Marques Brownlee, who was wearing exercise type shirts, something that are thin, breathable, these type of things, it would it was noticeably pulling down on his shirt. So all the Humane pictures and videos for this thing, they're wearing thicker jackets, things like that. So it doesn't show that it's a heavy device by any means, but it's not lightweight. So that's also not a great thing right there, because if you have to wear this all the time, you want to make it so it's not as noticeable, I guess. I don't know. Oh, and apparently it was always warm. That's the other thing that you might want to be concerned with. You have a battery sitting right there on your chest, and it's constantly slightly on the warm side to too warm, depending on how much you're using it. That's a little concerning. And also the battery life was never very good. Most reviews were saying the individual battery pucks that go on the inside would get you, depending on your use case, anywhere from 2 to 3 hours, which also not great because then you're constantly hot swapping it at least twice a day, depending on, if you're wearing it all day. It's not great.
Oh, man.
I mean, like I said, this is something that in the future might be feasible. But right now, it's absolutely not. And I think, like most companies, the route they're going for something similar to this is in the glasses space, which makes some sense because people are already wearing glasses. You can put that technology into there relatively easily. It's not adding a whole lot of extra weight to frames that are, already weigh a little bit. And I don't get this at all.
Well, and what's great is there's another one coming out next week. Or next month. Sorry.
Yeah.
Next month.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun. So, listener, in case you had any sort of thought about getting something like this, read one review, any of them. Any. I don't care what website, what YouTuber, I don't care who you go to look for this review. Read any of them. They're going to tell you to not buy it because it's just not a great product right now.
Oh, boy. Well, let's go ahead and let's move on. We got some gaming news we're going to get into here. The first thing that's on here we got is the App Store guideline change.
Oh, yeah. No, so this is spicy. This is some spicy goodness that has happened over the past couple of weeks. A few weeks ago, kind of maybe sort of possibly to do with stuff that's happening in the EU, but also kind of maybe not. It's hard to say for sure with Apple. Apple, in the gaming space, this is wild, I know, updated their App Store guidelines. The change to the wording now specifies that retro game console emulation apps are allowed under App Store rules. This was not the case. In the past, there have been like Game Boy emulators and retro console emulators available on the iPhone, but you had to sideload them. And the only way that was possible was via like either jailbreaking your phone or via like arcane enterprise licensing nonsense and shenanigans that Apple pretty much always shut down like as soon as was humanly possible for them. So it never really lasted for very long. But this happened, right? Change. And everyone's like, wait. So like game emulators? Like we can put game emulator apps onto the App Store? Somebody tested that by launching a Game Boy emulator onto the App Store. To be clear, this Game Boy app was basically just a straight ripoff of the open source, like they just took the code from an open source app called GBA for iOS, which was the old school Game Boy emulator that you had to sideload via weird ways. Mm-hmm. That launched about a week after this happened. The guy who released it was not the same developer who had originally developed GBA for iOS, and he had packed this thing full of ads and trackers and all kinds of nonsense, and yet a whole bunch of people still downloaded it. Over this past weekend, it was taken down. Apple pulled it from the App Store. Some people reached out to Apple for clarification on why they had pulled this app, and Apple confirmed that they pulled it because it was a ripoff of GBA for iOS. It had been approved because it was okay under their App Store guidelines, but then it was brought to their attention that this person was trying to take credit for code that was open source code that they had not written, and that's why they pulled it down, not because of its functionality or its form. So yes, Game Boy emulators are now allowed on the App Store, which means that generally speaking, pretty much any console older than about 20 years probably counts as a retro console. Therefore, emulators for the Game Boy Advanced and other Game Boys, the PSP, original PlayStation, and obviously the SNES, the NES, the Neo Geo, the Genesis and Saturn, and all of these classic retro consoles you can have emulators for those on the App Store on iOS now.
Wow.
So that's where the story sits as of right now. And what's really funny about this to me is that not that long ago, I was kind of like, gee, I'd really like to have a little device that I could carry around that I could just, play a bunch of Game Boy games on. Like all these classic, I want to play Pokemon Yellow again, whatever. But in my free time, my spare time, I dragged out one of my old $100 Android phones that I bought off of GearBest and, from China. There was a piece of crap phone, but it's got the Google Play Store, and the Google Play Store has emulator apps on it. So I downloaded a Game Boy emulator, and I've been playing Game Boy games on this thing. And then this happened, and I was like, oh, I could just get it on my normal phone. What? So yes, I'm very excited about this, listener. I will be following up.
Okay. That's pretty cool, actually. Except
stoked.
for the ads and trackers. That I don't.
Well,
know
yeah,
about
that particular app was stupid, but it's a great proof of concept for all the rest of the developers that apparently, actually, go ahead. And hopefully the guy that did develop GBA for iOS is going to resubmit that to the App Store.
Yeah.
Like, please, dude, I will download that in a heartbeat. That was a really great app.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to the next thing here. There was a email leak from on Xbox. There was an email leak from Sarah Bond, which is the head of Xbox. One of the first things that came from this email leak was Microsoft creating a new team for game preservation, which I think is really cool.
That is
so. They pretty much in the email, as it said here, it said, bring up the quote. We have formed a new team dedicated to game preservation, important to all of us at Xbox and the industry itself. We are building our strong history of delivering backwards compatibility to our players, and we remain committed to bringing forward the amazing library of Xbox games for future generations of players to enjoy.
That's good.
I also think it's good.
It's a good attitude to have. I mean, as opposed to Nintendo, who's all like, hey, if you're trying to preserve our old games, better get your lawyer on the line. Frickin', we're going to take you down. You're not allowed to even think about Mario unless you're paying us for it.
Nobody preserves our games, not even us.
It's true. It's true.
I mean, this is good news on the bad news of, speaking of Nintendo, I think April 8th was the day they shut down online services for all Wii U and 3DS
sure
games.
Was. Yeah. Oh, good old Nintendo. That's right.
So, I mean, good publicity there, Microsoft, for this leaked email.
Yeah.
Leaked.
Air quotes. Giant air quotes.
In the email as well, they did mention her reiterating, saying they're moving full speed ahead on the next generation hardware, focusing on delivering the biggest technological leap ever in the generation. They did say that AI is part of the company's next gen plans, with her saying, we are innovating in gaming AI focused on delivering player first, developer first value for discovery, engagement, and creator velocity.
This now makes so much sense. Okay, just listen, hear me out. They're using generative AI to come up with all of those teraflops that were rumored a while ago.
What's a good word that we could say? Teraflop. It's true.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, I guess if it's AI is like how you're measuring your graphics performance, then flipping, who knows, man? Anything goes.
Just AI the crap out of it, I guess. I don't know.
One man's software is another man's teraflops. That's just it's just how it is.
Oh my gosh. We need to quote that one. That is awesome. You need to patent that. One man's software is another man's teraflops. Yep. Okay. Enough of that. We're gonna go ahead and move on. Xbox, they sent out an update on both the Xbox console and the PC update. Usually they have a monthly update for these things. Just kind of quick things on that is that on the PC, they say they're bringing new game hubs on their app, the new game hubs that the company's been testing out since February to all users. For the console players, the Xbox April update is bringing improvements to Discord experience, game captures on OneDrive, and just new restrictions and things like that. So just kind of little minor bug fixes, things like that. So I know lots of people were saying, "Oh, big update, big things." It's just kind of more bug fixes. Since they've implemented Discord, I'm sure there has been a couple things that have been issues. They're just fixing up. So I figured that would be nice. So, and also I know there's a lot of people that were having issues with the OneDrive connectivity with their clips and things and gaming things like that. So sweet stuff. Okay, well, let's go ahead and move on from there. Fallout. Listener, you've probably have seen something about this, whether it's a video game or this big Amazon-made series.
Yeah, they made a thing.
Pretty big. So Microsoft has definitely been pushing this. Amazon's been pushing it. The new show that's come out. I'm actually 4 episodes in on this show. It's actually pretty fun.
I was gonna say I've heard generally good things.
It's pretty fun. I've enjoyed it. I've heard that even if you're not a fan or know of the series, people have really enjoyed it. So I would say hop in, watch the first episode, take a look, see if it's something you'd like. It's got some very dark humor from the Fallout series. It definitely has its gore. Lots of gore.
Yeah.
So if you're a fan of that, I mean, it's all just like the game. And then just a fun post, I guess we could say apocalyptic, but it's more post nuclear bombs dropping.
Yeah, it's retro post-apocalypse.
Retro post-apocalypse
is how I would describe it.
I like that, yeah. Retro post-apocalypse. So, as well as, not only that, for all the stuff that's been happening with the TV show to help support and make it big, apparently Fallout 76 has seen the biggest numbers it's had in a long time.
Yeah,
game's at a very good state. They are releasing a new update, a console update. I guess they're calling it the next gen, quote unquote, for Fallout 4. They're adding new DLC to Fallout 4, new quest line, as well as I believe they said that they're adding more, not mods, but it's the creator content in for Fallout 4, kind of making it more mainstream, I guess, on there.
Huh.
So lots of people have been doing that. All the Fallout games are on sale. If you play the Fallout Shelter, they've added the characters from the movie in to come visit your little Fallout shelter if you want. I mean, it's just big, and everyone's been enjoying it, liking it. So have at it. I just wanted to mention it because that's literally taking over entertainment is what I put on here. Both games and
it's a lot of Fallout emphasis happening right now.
Yeah, a lot of Fallout. So, and it was approved for a second season.
Yeah, so. I feel like Microsoft has got to be feeling a little bit better about this than Halo. First season of Halo.
Yeah, I think. Well, I hate. By all means, listener, I'm not trying to be a console war or anything when I say this. Please, just this is the articles I've been reading. So, is it The Last of Us had a TV show and everyone's been praising this? Okay, a majority of people that I've seen is saying that this is one step above The Last of Us TV show. Oh. That's not a jab. That's not saying. That's just saying how good people have really liked the writing, the character development, everything in this show.
No, that's
I never saw The Last of Us. I never played the game, but a lot of people have high praise for the game as well as the show. So if that's saying something for you, I don't know. You watched it. There you go. So Fallout, it's taking over all entertainment till something else. But also, on the note of Halo, you were saying apparently a lot of people are like, "Hey, Halo, Paramount, hey, take some notes."
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah, maybe treat your source material with respect and your fan base with respect, and don't just randomly change everything for no reason because you think you know better than the makers of the original game that happened to just so craft a story that millions of people really enjoyed. I don't know. Just a thought.
You know, when they said,
wait, was it the same people that did the sequel trilogy for Star Wars?
Oh,
Ooh, I don't think so, but
It may as well have been.
Ooh. No, it was rough. I see. I never watched the Halo series because I think the one thing that I heard from the news article that everyone was happy about, well, the writers were like, we've never seen or played the video game, but we're gonna write this, and I was like, ooh.
Yep.
And they said they're not.
Hey,
taking
look,
any
all
input.
the red flags.
I know. Here's all the red flags. So I'm like, that's one I'm not going to be watching. But it could be good. I don't know. Maybe some people like it. I haven't found you yet. But anywho, I mean, I guess, I want to say it seems exciting. It's kind of cool to have, I guess, what do you call it, a video game crossover that people like. So it's kind of nice.
It's been happening more frequently as of the past few years. And,
yes.
That is nice. But then we still have Halo.
I know.
So it's like, it's not like everything is sunshine and roses over here,
right.
But we have moved on quite a ways past, like, the original Super Mario Bros. Movie and so on and so forth.
Right. So we'll see how this happens. There still is on Netflix. There's still supposed to be a animated series for Gears of War and a live action movie. So,
okay,
we'll see how that goes, huh? And apparently, I thought there was supposed to be a Diablo Netflix series too, but
okay, no, look. If anybody other than the animation department of Blizzard makes a movie of Diablo, I'm just gonna be pissed. Like, I'm sorry. They've had the ability in-house to make a movie of Diablo the whole time.
True.
Just do it, you
they can
cowards.
do it themselves. Let's be real. All right. We'll move on from that discussion. Looks like that's everything on the docket here that we wanted to talk about. I guess that's the end of the episode, unless Landon, you got one more thing for us?
Nope, wrong one.
I was going to say, what?
There's Landon shooting his gun off and getting the horn.
You do not.
No, I don't take Doom news, sorry. But I do have one more thing, and it is also a gaming thing. Now, listener, have you ever had the urge to take off your Apple Watch Ultra, strap it around a game controller of some sort, connect those together and just play games? No? That makes sense because it's not possible. But somebody has taken a smartwatch that looks an awful lot like an Apple Watch Ultra and done just that. Now, you can buy fake Apple Watches. You can buy fake Apple Watch Ultras that look identical to these watches, but they are running stripped down versions of Android. I wouldn't even say stripped down versions of Android Wear. Sometimes that is the case. And that is the case with this one. It is not full Wear OS, but it is Wear OS-like type software on this look-alike Apple Watch Ultra. But there's a Reddit user who posted a video of him doing what I just said, where he put the Apple Watch around a PlayStation controller, was able to hook the controller up to this watch, and was able to control the UI with the controller, but also he was able to install some games onto this watch and basically turn it into a handheld console.
Huh. There's got to be an easier way, man.
I mean, there definitely is an easier way, I'm sure. But
dedication right there, I guess, right?
I mean, now it's only a matter of time before somebody tries to put Doom on an Apple Watch, like an actual Apple Watch, and play it like this. And I really hope someone manages to do that. I don't know how, but if anybody can, it's the Doom modders, because they're, great people.
I'm just going to say, all that actually requires is somebody releasing an Apple Watch retro game console emulator, and then we can load one of the old retro versions of Doom onto it.
I think we're figuring out this web of stuff that's going to happen.
That's pretty straightforward. I think.
That's so awesome.
Because what's the oldest console that runs Doom? There was a version of Doom for the Game Boy Advanced. I don't think it was very good.
Yeah, there was.
But there was a version of Doom for the N64. Is that it?
No, there was a Doom for the Super.
Was there a Super Nintendo Doom? So yeah, there you go. Yeah, we just need somebody to make a SNES emulator that runs on the Apple Watch. That's apparently allowed now. And then you can just and oh gosh, the controls. I don't want to think about that. That would be so awful.
Think about how that controller.
Ugh. You'd have to, if you can't pair an external controller to the Apple Watch, then it won't work. But
I mean, in theory, it might be able to do that because you can connect Bluetooth devices to an Apple Watch. It's just
that's true.
Somehow
you just have to make sure the emulator knows how to.
Yeah,
well, Doommodders.
Oh yeah, get on it. Get on it, guys.
And we'll come back and report. How's that?
Yes. But that's my one more thing for this week.
That's good. I like how we moved that into Doom.
Yes.
I love
not actually Doom news, but maybe.
I like it. All right, dear listener, we appreciate you listening to us all the way through the episode. If you want to get a hold of us, you can on our social media platforms, as well as callingallplatforms.com. You can also take out some videos that with a soon video going to be posting?
Look, just soon is relative, right? Like we
didn't say ask you for a specific date.
Can
you
give us
a range of
the geological age of the planet? Soon, yes, very soon.
There, see, we can't hold you accountable now. See,
it will be It will be sometime in the future. That's all that matters.
That is true. Yeah, it has not happened yet, but it will.
There will be a video uploaded to our YouTube channel, Calling All Platforms. Go ahead and check it out. Like and subscribe. Whatever you'd like to do there. We appreciate the support. All right, dear listener. Have a good week.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Calling All Platforms is a production of Supporter Sound Studios. To learn more about how you can support the podcast, go to www.patreon.com/callingallplatforms.